quite busy. Oh, look! Eiffel Tower. Jesus. Okay, let's go. Sean and I are on the streets of Paris, and Sean has spotted
a Citroen Saxo Bic edition, which is what I said the other day. I spotted a Saxo in a distance. I was like, oh, I hope it's a Bic edition. And finally we found one, although it's not the right Bic colour, but it does have the Bic bits. So they must come in silver as well as the kind of Bic yellowy orange colour.
Do you want to point out the Bic? Why this is a Citroen Saxo
Yes,
Bic?
of course. What makes it a Bic edition is that it's got a Bic logo on the side rubbing strip, a little Bic person on the C-pillar, and inside the car, which you should just about be able to see, it's got a yellow Bic-coloured gear knob, and it's got yellow piping around all the seats, which I really enjoy.
Well, I think you just
all
covered
you can
up.
see is the gear knob.
Yes, there's a yellow gear knob.
There is a yellow gear knob.
Are you happy now that you've found your Bic?
I'm very happy, although I'd be much happier if I found the actual orange coloured one, or yellowy orange coloured one. So we can keep going, because we're going to be in France for a few more days. And we found an Ami! Yay! We miss our Ami because it's gone, but yeah, this is a really basic one. It hasn't got any of the orange bits, it's just got its kind of base spec. Although it does have the wheel trims, because the really, really base one doesn't have wheel trims at all, but this one's wheel trims are still just black.
And it does have some stickers.
Oh, that's true.
It's got some stickers.
We heard that you can actually rent Amis here as part of a car share scheme, so I did have a look, but I couldn't find any. All the car share scheme had was Fiat 500 electrics, which is a real shame because we really wanted to go and go around the Arc de Triomphe in an Ami. But we think we probably worked out that because it's winter and their batteries are really terrible in winter, that they might have just kind of casually deleted them over winter and replaced them just with the Fiat 500 electric, which is really sad because I would love to have like whizzed around Paris in an Ami.
So this was the restaurant, and this is the parking spot. We are literally parking gods here.
And even more godlike though, we did manage to park right in front of a Rover R8 200, which is terribly exciting because it's probably the oldest car we've seen today.
And it's actually a not bad neck.
It's not. I really want to give it like some property cut.
Yeah.
It's a bit faded in parts, but it looks alright. 30 years old.
And it's street parked in Paris.
Street parked in Paris, yeah. And it's a British car that probably has very few parts availability in France. Having finished our dinner and our look at Ami and the Saxo, we are now at the Eiffel Tower with my XC70, which is kind of a sight I thought I'd never see, but amazingly Jim is kind of fearless in his driving, has just driven us to central Paris without any difficulty whatsoever, so absolutely hats off to him.
So last night we found a
Saxo Bic
in Paris.
in Paris, and this evening we are in Lyon and we have found a Mark 3.5 Fiesta, and it's a special edition. Let's go and find out what special edition it is. Yes, so a Mark 3.5 Fiesta can be mainly spotted by the fact that the door mirrors are those kind of curvy ones, and it's also got a covered fuel flap.
Did
like
they
the Mark.
come with the tape as standard from
They
the
came with
factory?
the tape as standard from the factory. Absolutely, that is very standard for the French market.
French market
Of
only,
course,
tipped
yes.
up mirrors.
Yeah. But what makes this Mark 3.5 Fiesta special is that it is a Cape Horn special edition. And I don't quite know what a Cape Horn special edition gets you, apart from the fact that it has a spoiler, so that I can only assume that Cape Horn means that they put a spoiler on it. The other exciting thing about this particular Mark 3.5 Fiesta is that it doesn't have an airbag. So clearly for the French market, they decided that actually airbags were still optional for the Mark 3.5, whereas in the UK, certainly from the 94 model year onwards, which is when the 3.5 came in, they were all airbag models. There goes my geeky trivia. Anyway, this has brightened up my lovely evening in Lyon.
When we were organising this trip, we didn't actually think about snow, did we?
Well, we brought a car with winter tyres, and I have my walking boots in the boot, but it happened to be underneath absolutely everything that's in it.
Yes, so we're both in very summery trainers. And how's the trip gone so far?
Well, I edited a video in the back of the car, so that means that Jim's driving was very nice and serene, so that's good. I need a pee, and maybe a little something to eat before we enter Italy.
Okay, we'll sort that. We'll sort that now. We're off to Turin. We're going to meet up with Matteo from the Roadster Life channel.
Yep. And also have some delicious food and wine. That's the plan anyway.
And hopefully visit the Fiat Hub.
Oh yes, and another one, the National
The
Museum.
National Automobile Museum of Italy, which is also in Turin.
Many, many cars. So stay tuned and we'll get you some car footage very shortly.
Welcome to the Fréjus Tunnel. For your safety, the tunnel is equipped with a video surveillance system. Every 150 meters must separate your vehicle from the one traveling in front.
So, straight parked Lancia Delta. Oh, look at the window, look at the window.
Does that mean for sale?
That means for sale. Can you read it? I can't make it out. Are we calling? Are we going to ring?
I think our husbands might murder us. But it's not rusty, and it's as far as I can see. That I think is a non-rusty Lancia Delta for sale.
Okay, alright.
Okay.
I think some minis might have come racing through here a few years ago. We have been spending some time with Matteo from Roadster Life. We're going to go for coffee with him now very shortly. We're going to do a little bit of an interview with him, but we have spied this. It is a street parked Renault 5, which Matteo has told us is owned by a Alfa Romeo designer from Greece, who's obviously working in this building from Stellantis, because Fiat Centro Stili is just in there. And this fully restored Renault 5 was just street parked outside, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Thoughts on the Renault 5? I'm going to jump in first, and I'm going to go, you hate the Alpine wheels.
I do hate the Alpine wheels. I mean, I like the Alpine wheels, but just not on this car.
No, you prefer to see them on an Alpine.
I much prefer to see them on an Alpine, yes.
Okay, and the thing is, though, as well, is unlike it's just like the Alpine that we had, it has to say Alpine on everything.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, in Matt's video, we were watching Matt Furious Driving did a video on the Alpine that we briefly had. And he spotted more Alpine badges on it than even I'd spotted.
Yeah, because they were on the air vents,
Some
and
of
I
the
never
air
even
vents, I
seen
didn't see
those.
those.
No. But yeah, so what's the things you like about it?
This Renault 5.
Yes, this Renault 5.
I love the colour. I love the fact that it is a Phase 1 Renault 5 or Mark 1 Renault 5 because the Super Sank is not of any particular interest to me.
Unless, of course, it's parked at Caffeine and Machine.
Well, yeah, because in Caffeine and Machine, it's like the most interesting thing because the others are going to be Porsches and like fast Japanese cars and that kind of thing, which are of no interest. So in that context, a Renault Super Sank is definitely, yes, please. But this is what I would ideally like.
This is really sad. While you're talking, I'm going, oh, look, it's the new Renault Kangoo.
Is it?
Do you know the interesting thing about the new Renault Kangoo, by the way, is it's got doors on the other side that one slides back and the other one opens as normally, and it's pillarless, just like the Lancia Aurelia that we've seen inside.
There we go. It's a perfect synergy.
Anyway, sorry, I interrupted. Back to the Renault 5. Anything else?
It does not have headrests. Big win in my book.
It's actually got a floor-mounted shifter, which I was quite surprised about.
Yeah, the early ones have the column one. This is probably a later one. It's probably late 70s, early 80s. I don't quite know.
Yeah.
It has a triangular.
Oh, I never noticed
side
that before
repeater.
on them.
I hadn't noticed that either. This is an early 80s one, isn't it? I think. It's
With the cladding.
Yeah, with the cladding. It's a facelift Phase 1, so it's early 80s.
But yes, weirdly, that is possibly the nicest street parked
Absolutely. Renault 5.
classic
Or car.
interesting car that we've seen so far.
It's the oldest, I think. There's a lot of street parked Pandas, as in
The
classic
Delta
Pandas.
from last night,
The Delta from last night.
that's probably of a similar age.
pretty special as
Yeah.
well. But yeah,
this one is very special.
and this is clearly his specific parking space because no other car would fit between that bollard and that lamp because modern cars are fat in it.
And on that note, let us go. We're heading off
Yes,
to
let's go have coffee.
Lingotto to do the test track. Well, you enjoying yourself? Welcome to Torino!
Jim, your scooter sounding like a Vespa. Why is that?
I've broken it. We're not very good with these electric car devices, are we? So it's full throttle. Then it works out, it's outside the park and off it goes. So it wasn't actually broken. What happens is when you're in the park, it comes up with a turtle because we're cursed with turtle mode, and I thought it was broken, but it's not. It's actually worked out. We're in the park and you're only allowed to do 4 kilometers an hour. And now we're outside the park, we can drive however we want. We're in the Lingotto Hotel, and this is the other Lingotto Hotel, the Hilton Doubletree. This is the old Fiat engine hall.
And it's absolutely vast. It's now the bar for the Hilton. We just had a drink in. It was very nice, very dead. Come here
Yes.
in January, there's no one here.
Yeah, like
Ground floor, stationery, perfumery, leather goods, wigs and haberdashery, kitchenware and food. Going up. Well, as the sun now sets over the mountains, which I think are the Alps, just over there, we've made it.
Look, we're going to do this so you can actually see the sunset.
See the sunset.
There we go. Yes, and then we're back in shot again.
We're back in focus. And we have made it to the test track on the top of Lingotto on the Fiat factory.
So if we spin right now,
spin round, spin round, spin round. That was a big spin.
That was a big
expecting
spin.
a 90-degree spin, not 270.
oh,
There
did I
we go.
catch you out? Sorry about
You
that.
did.
Sorry.
There's the banking just over there.
Yes.
So in case you didn't know, this is Lingotto is the Fiat factory where they made the 500. It opened in December 1922, so it's just turned 100 years old. Obviously, it doesn't make cars anymore. It's now a shopping centre. But this is it's a really cool factory with, you know more than me, but it's got a ramp going up from the bottom to the top, where on each side, so the cars go up slowly whilst they're being built. Then they kind of get spewed out onto the top of the building when they've been built, have a little spin around the test track to make sure everything's okay, and then they pop down again, the other one, into like lorries or probably trains, because there's a train line directly outside.
And then in the 1920s, they used it for auto racing. As you can see from the bank, it was perfect for that. And it's also famous because it's in the Italian job.
Of course.
Do you want to do another 90-degree spin so
Let's
you
do
can
another
sort of like
90-degree spin.
you can see the other banking in
Other
the
banking
distance
behind those
so
buildings.
what they did is this closed down in the 1980s. It's kind of been a bit of a tourist attraction, but they didn't put an awful lot of effort into it. But in the last couple of years, this has been delayed slightly because of COVID, but in the last couple of years, what they've done is they've turned it into a rooftop park. So hence all the planting behind us.
Garden-y stuff.
Yeah, so they can still launch cars up here. That sounds like they're going to launch them off the roof.
Yeah,
I mean, they can do car launches
That's
up
more
here.
like
They can drive cars around, and there's a bit of a glass dome thing just behind that chimney. It's still a Fiat conference centre. There's a helipad, so they can fly in important guests and let them jump into their Fiats and their Alphas, and they can have a little lap of the test track.
So this is not the very first time that Jim has been here. The first time Jim has been here was
In 2005, I was here with the Panda when it used to have stickers all over it, because we used to do a lot of stuff for charity, and the local car club had been invited along to the launch of the Alfa Brera on the roof of the test track here, and we were staying in the hotel, and we pulled in, and strangely enough, these people started waving us up this ramp with all these other cars, and we just started driving up the roof, and we ended up here, and we're kind of in a row with like Ferraris, Lamborghinis.
Oh, wow.
No, they're all classics. Okay, there was a couple of 131s and a few sort of Auto Bianchis, but the next thing, like, you know, Alan's with me, and these people appear in sort of like penguin suits, and we are being offered champagne, and Alan said to me, I don't think we're supposed to be here. And I went, yes, I know that, and you know that, but they don't know that. So we got an afternoon, and we got to sit in an Alfa Romeo Brera. So it was fun, but that was 18 years ago.
apparently so.
Yeah,
but,
so it's nice to be back. Yeah, I've no pictures of the panda on the roof. I think it was trying to not attract attention to the fact that we weren't supposed to be here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
End of story?
End of story.
End of story.
We've loved our time in Turin. Jim's obviously been several times. I've been once in 2004 for about an afternoon.
Yeah.
But it's been brilliant, and hopefully I'll have edited together little bits of footage of the few museums we've been to and the attractions we've seen in Turin. So there you go. AlsoDriven in Turin. Over and out. Bye.
Join us in our next video where we'll be chatting to Matteo from the Roadster Life channel as an AlsoCast.
After that, we will also be doing another video on some of the museums in Turin because we couldn't fit everything into this one video, so stay tuned for that too.